Yes, it's time for another album ranking. Today we are ranking Fleshgod Apocalypse. Time to get some symphonic death metal up your ass here, and holy shit, this band is absolutely fantastic. I really adore Fleshgod Apocalypse albums, and honestly there is not one bad album by this band. Every single album by this band is an absolute banger. And I can put on any album, and just bang my head to them. I just love how epic and majestic some of these albums feel, and yeah, Fleshgod Apocalypse is one of my favourite bands of all time. Absolutely adore them. I just love how they incorporate symphonic metal along with brutal death metal, with vocals are so damn cavernous and so damn guttural, but yet you got some beautiful angelic clean vocals that are beautiful in contrast between one and each other. You know what, this is an absolutely fantastic band, and if you haven't checked out Fleshgod Apocalypse, I question what the fuck are you doing? I had the privilege to see these guys live last year, and they were doing a Veleno tour, and I was so damn impressed. Especially when they did the full, and they did prologue and epilogue, and how majestic and epic that song was as you were looking upon the stage, watching this masterful band perform. And I was looking at someone else, especially the conclusion of epilogue, and I was just looking at him and saying, holy shit, we have just witnessed something incredibly special. And I did a review for Fleshgod Apocalypse, that concert review, which you can see on the channel. And you know what? Fleshgod Apocalypse loves it so much that they shared it on their Facebook page. So that was one of my prouder moments. 300,000 like Facebook page shares a random YouTuber's concert review in Melbourne. But you know what, like I said, there's not one bad album by Fleshgod Apocalypse, and let's go on from the weakest album in my opinion to the best album. And the weakest album is Oracles, their debut album. This album is a good album. It's got some great bangers like In Honor of Reason, As Tyrants Fall, along with Infection of the White Throne. Although there are some fillers on this, at times this album doesn't feel memorable. It doesn't feel memorable in what Agony and The King and Veleno are to me. So this is one of my weakest albums. I feel that the reduction on this album is incredibly crisp, and it doesn't have that rawness that a lot of Fleshgod Apocalypse albums. Oracles is a good album for what it is. It's just got some lackluster moments, and this album does bleed beautifully, although I just feel that this is definitely the weakest album. Because it just seems like they're just dabbling their foot in the door here and trying to find their sound. Although they have accomplished their sound throughout the later albums, this album is just the beginning of Fleshgod Apocalypse discography. Next up is Labyrinth. Yeah, this is a really enjoyable album. It's another epic and majestic album, but not as epic and majestic as the other albums I'm going to mention. There are some really strong symphonic elements throughout this album, but what is pretty disappointing on this album is the overall production. The production just lacks its overall structure on this album, which makes the guitar tone sound quite muddy and murky. Great songs like Minotaur, Kingborn, and not to mention Epilogue. Epilogue, that amazing song that is just out of this world. And to watch Epilogue live is something goddamn special. I honestly still can remember that moment when they were performing that live, and as I was just standing and seeing them perform this live, I was just in awe, I really was, especially that conclusion of Epilogue, so damn good. But yeah, this album's really good, it's very enjoyable, and it's quite a fun album, but I'm ranking them, so this is going to be second last because it's the overall production, and some of these songs are a little bit of fillers in my opinion, and are not as memorable as the other songs on the other albums I'm going to mention. So Labyrinth goes second last. Next up is the latest album, Veleno. Wow, this album is absolutely fantastic. I just fucking love this album, I really do. This was my favourite album of the year last year. Well, it was until I discovered Abigail Williams. But besides that, if you watch my top 20 albums of the year last year, Fleshgod Apocalypse Veleno was my number one. You got Carnivorous Lambs, fucking Sugar, push, push, push. And then you got Mona Lisa, that fucking melody of Mona Lisa is so damn good. Worship and Forget, Worship and Forget. You understand? See how memorable these songs are to me now? You see how memorable these songs are? Where at Labyrinth, I can't remember if there are a few songs that I do remember, and when Oracles, I can't remember shit on Oracles. But when we get to Veleno, the melody gets stuck in your head, just like Mona Lisa's melody gets stuck in your fucking head, especially with the beautiful guitar riffs and everything like that. And I just love how overly symphonic this album is. But of course there is one album that is way overly symphonic and over the top, which is just so damn fucking majestic, and I will mention that soon. But you get what I mean, is that there are just so many songs on Veleno that are just out of this world. You got Pissing on the Score, The Day Will Be Gone. The Day Will Be Gone is such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful crescendo drawing song, and her vocals are so damn good. Beautiful, beautiful. And I saw this live as well, The Day Will Be Gone. Beautiful lavishing moments and the beautiful rhythmic drumming. And then you got a Rammstein cover, which is Rise Rise. Rise Rise is an okay song. You know, Fleshgod Apocalypse do it very well as well. And then you got the nocturnal version of The Forsaken. But overall, this album is tight, it's cohesive, and it's one of my favorites. Next up is the concept album, The King, by Fleshgod Apocalypse. Holy shit, this album's absolutely fantastic. It's overly majestic, it's overly symphonic, but it creates this over-the-top feeling where every single fucking song feels so damn intense. This album also makes you feel good. It does. And dare I say, this is probably the most proggiest album, because it incorporates elements of progressive metal on this album with some really nice tight odd time signatures, nice guitar solos. Dare I say, some parts sound like Dream Theater, especially the song Cool as Perfection. Holy shit, the guitar solo. And then you got The Fool. The Fool was played live as well. And then you got songs like A Million Deaths, Syphilis, and not to mention In A Internum, and that beautiful soaring chorus you get throughout that song, and how proggy that song is. It's absolutely fucking fantastic. Fleshgod Apocalypse, The King, and I just love the overall concept of this album. I didn't realize it was a concept album until my mate actually told me it was a concept album. I said, oh, okay, that's interesting. I've been listening to this for years and I didn't realize it was a concept album. But yeah, what a fantastic, fantastic fucking album. I love the pure emotion they provide as well. There are some slower songs as well, like Paramore, and then all of a sudden you get hit by a song called And the Vulture Beholds. Yeah, this is an awesome symphonic death metal album. It just warms the cockles of your fucking heart. And finally, my favorite Fleshgod Apocalypse album is Agony. Agony is such an awesome album. Again, it's quite a symphonic album. It's symphonic death metal as you expect. The production on this album is absolutely fucking incredible. This is their sophomore album and this is their best album. You can argue all you want, but nothing's going to change my mind. Although King was really, really that close to putting King up the top. Only thing that separates the King to Agony is the song The Violation. The Violation is one of the best songs by Fleshgod Apocalypse, and this is their intro song to anyone out there. Get into Fleshgod Apocalypse. The egoism, the betrayal, the Forsaken. The original Forsaken is so damn fucking good. You've got amazing symphonic elements, some incredible orchestral moments, amazing guitar riffs, solos, incredible vocals. It has it all. It really does. And this is why Agony is my favorite of all time. And not to fucking mention Heartwork. That song Heartwork. Heartwork is a fantastic song. I love how epic this album is. It's just full with surprises. When I first heard this album, I went, holy shit, I have never heard anything like this. It's symphonic, it's brutal, and it's got elements of that harsh, aggressive death metal that we all love. Vocals are intense, the beautiful contrast between the vocals, and I just love the overall chord progression throughout this album. Just go by like that. And that's why Agony is my favorite Fleshgod Apocalypse album. Guys, comment below what you thought about this album ranking. Do you agree or disagree with my opinion? What I want you guys to do as well is pop your album rankings down below as well for Fleshgod Apocalypse. So next album ranking will be probably next week, and I'll be throwing a couple reviews out this weekend as well. So plenty more content to come, and I will see you in the next one.